Gotta put the sleeve back on this one that I just finished again. I am so excited to keep going with a couple of these series. So, finished the Dragon Bone chair a few days ago, and really just, I don't know if it was just not the right time for that. Maybe I'll try again down the road, but I thought I gotta blast this slump out of, blast the pipes, or I don't know, whatever. So I read, on New Year's Eve to New Year's Day, that 24 hours, I read book 4 of the Sun Eater series, Kingdom of Death. And I'll give my non-spoiler review of that. And then this last 24 hours-ish, I reread the book that wouldn't burn, which is book 1 in the... Is it just called the Library series? Library trilogy? I don't know. And that was a reread for me because, it also will be non-spoiler, but if you haven't read that, then you would probably know that it would really lend itself to a reread. And we have the next one already out, and then on April of this year, then we'll have the conclusion, I think. So why don't I talk about that one first? I think I've done a review on the channel, but I really dig this kind of book. Now, epic space fantasy, epic stuff. Sometimes I get into it, but massive casts throw my dumb brain off. And, sometimes I'm not feeling like a big space opera or a big, massive battle of such enormous scale. Like I got that in Malazan, and I've also been doing a little bit more of that reread kind of on the side. It's like my favorite series. But sometimes I like something that is smaller. And for better or worse, I like coming of age stories, and this has this. This has that. It has this big library that has these sort of mystical qualities. That doesn't always hit for me, like Piranesi by Susanna Clarke was kind of a miss for me. But I love this, and I love the idea of like a labyrinth, that sort of thing. In Gormenghast, I get some of the same vibe, even though in Gormenghast it's more about there's less sort of happening, and I just love the characters and stuff, even though it's just kind of vibes. This has a real chance to be a great trilogy for me. I know that maybe some people like the second book a little less, but I mean, if it sets up the third book, then whatever. It really lends itself for a reread once you finish it the first time, and I'd recommend it. Maybe isn't for absolutely everyone, but what it does do really well, which kind of has this like, it's very weird and odd, and sometimes even on my reread, I'm like, what the heck? What's happening with this? And so even my second time through it really was a lot easier. But I really like it, and I really like the characters. I've scanned through some of the Goodreads like critiques. I think a lot of it is like the world building maybe isn't for everyone, even though I really like it. I really like that it is this compact story that doesn't involve just everything, and I like that. So something that is very different, which is very much big space opera obviously is Kingdoms of is Sun Eater, and it's Kingdoms of Death, which, holy smokes, what a dark turn in the story. If you haven't started that series yet, I hear it talked about, kind of uh people relate it to like Red Rising, even though Red Rising seemed more like a group of teenagers kind of doing what's happening here. This this is very much even though I've only done the first three of Red Rising, maybe it gets there. This is much more gritty. I think the characters are deeper. It really has this great Roman influence. It, it's what happens with humanity something like 20,000 years after, and you can kind of, maybe if you liked Deep Space Nine, we have the Cardassians, this other alien race, but like the Cielson are just like maniacs, and it's really, really, really great. Uh, I, all of the books have been close to being a 5-star for me, but I don't know if maybe by the end of the series it will go down as a 5-star series. But there have been times in each of these books where like the battles have just kind of wore out their welcome for me, but I know that for other people, they just love it. So, you know, like, know who you are, and I just know that sometimes it just long battles wear out their welcome. This one was a great one. I'm very excited for book 5, Ashes of Man. I think if I had to rate, I really like the book that wouldn't burn. It would be maybe on the reread. It lost a little bit of the charm because I just read it so recently. So maybe I would still call it a 4 for me. And Kingdoms of Death, probably a 4 as well. Even though I know people, these are all 5-star books for people in Sun Eater, it seems like. So I can probably recommend I could probably recommend Sun Eater to about everyone. And if you're okay with having like a more contained story, smaller cast, more specific about this one thing rather than like a big epic, then I really could probably recommend the book that wouldn't burn as well. And I'm going to read the second book in that, as well as the short stories, probably this next week, and probably get to Ashes of Man. What are you reading? And maybe we'll bump some things off the list. There are so many things I'd like to get to a reread, like The Will of the Many. I want to do a reread before the second book comes out, because that was just one of my most favorite series. But if you see anything behind me, I haven't read the Lycanius trilogy, which is from same person as The Will of the Many, and I'm sure I'll like that, even though it's maybe a little divisive. But yeah, let me know what you're reading, and I'll get to it. Started the year off quick. I'm on day 2, and I've got these 2 under my belt, so it's looking good. For my Malazan reread, I don't know. I think I do need to get through the 10 books before I go into the ENC Esselmont stuff. I tried it again, and it's like I tried Return of the Crimson Guard again, and like every time I try it, it's like this is not landing right now. But then I'll go and I'll continue my reread of the main 10, and it's like this is the best stuff ever. So I think I got to get through that core, and then maybe instead of Return of the Crimson Guard and that kind of area, maybe I'll go into the Carcanis thing and some other stuff. But there's just some like stuff that like I've forgotten who's who a little bit, and I think I need to do some of that before I get, you know, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. So talk to you guys later. Bye.